Hey everybody, just hit the record button. So welcome to DPRG's Robot Builders Night, out online, however you want to think of it, virtual. Today is June 27th. It's quite nice in Canada and quite hot in Dallas. But anyhow, we're in air conditioning, and we're going to talk some robot things tonight and maybe some non-robot-y things. We have a queue started up with Ted, then Ray, then Doug, then I have something, and then it's just open mic. So with that, Ted, what you been up to? What you got?
All right. So, a few weeks ago, Ray was telling us about the Make Sense AO10. And so I decided to order one, and it calls it a MetaSense AO10. In the documentation, I also saw MaxiSense. So apparently it's attack of the Chinese translation or something. So I've been experimenting with it, and it's kind of a cool little device. I wanted to hook it up to a microcontroller, so probably something like a Teensy, but I had a Arduino available, an Uno, so I started with that. And I kind of wrote my own code to process the protocol on it. And the first thing I found out was the Arduino couldn't really handle 115,200 baud. And so
really,
the problem was, so I think a big part of the problem I was using a serial or a software serial port, because I wanted to use the hardware serial to talk to over USB to the computer. Can't really show you. It's kind of tied down on my desk, but I've got the AO10 hooked up via USB, and then I've plugged this UART into that from the A10 UART to the Arduino, and it was missing some of the bytes when I was trying. It couldn't keep up with it and read them fast enough, but at 57.6 it could. It probably wouldn't be a problem with something like a Teensy. The other thing is I had to cut the binning down to the 25 by 25 pixel image, because 10,000 pixels was just too much for the Arduino to deal with.
I haven't done it, but and I looked at it on my scope. If you do the 4x4 bin, which is 25 by 25 pixels, at I think 115, 200, there's a little bit of a gap. And I did the frame rate of 10.
Okay. One thing that I found that you might not be aware of is the frame rate doesn't really matter. What it does is it just spams frames until the next frame comes in. So there's a frame ID you can read, and if you do something like 20 frames, you'll get some duplicates, because I think it just fills it. It just keeps sending frames, and it'll send, frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 3, frame 4, just whatever's available. So if you give it like a frame rate of 1, it'll send frame 1 for a whole second. You'll get 20 copies of frame 1, and then you'll get 20 copies of frame 2.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So frame rate, it doesn't really matter as far as controlling the speed you're getting stuff in at.
So I wonder if I think 20 was the max. I wonder if you get unique frames at that rate or something.
I tried 20 and I still wasn't getting unique frames.
Really?
I get some duplicates.
I
only get say one out of for a whole second, I get 1 or 2 duplicates.
Oh, okay.
So you get 20 frames plus a few duplicates in there. Let's see, what else did I learn? Yeah, so it was just kind of interesting. I wrote the code to parse the whole protocol, and it's kind of a useful protocol. You can do a lot with it. If you don't care about like displaying all the pixels on the Arduino, mostly I wanted to see what was on like the left and right, so I could kind of get an idea of driving if I was going to crash into something. So I just split it into a bunch of columns and read the max for each column, and so then I could have it send me 25 integers, 25 basically 1 byte characters, and then I figure I can have a robot do something with that.
So you were more interested in like the max in all the columns. I was thinking of just looking at like maybe one line of pixels in front of the robot, and then granted it gives you whatever height that the image is coming through on that lens. But
and I guess it wasn't the max, it was the min, because I was worried about what was closest. So so for each column I'd read all the way from the top to the bottom and find the smallest value in that column and report that.
So, and you did that on just an Uno?
An Uno, yeah.
Oh wow! So it was fast enough to handle it, because that's still, you're still looking at 625, values, right?
With the header and footer values, it was 648 bytes or something.
Yeah, but I mean the actual data part. If you're looking at 25 by 25, pixels or distance measurements, then
and so sometimes it wouldn't finish up before the next packet started coming in. So when you started reading again after the Arduino processed, it would be processing in the middle of the next packet. So what I'd do there is then I'd have to have it look for the start byte. And so that was kind of interesting. So it's got 2 bytes for the start of the packet. I think it's 00 and then FF.
FF, yeah.
And the interesting thing about that is that pair occurs more frequently in the image data than you'd expect. Because like if you have something far away at one end of the frame and then something really close at the other side, it'll wrap around, and so you'll get FF or 00FF. And so then I'd end up, it would start reading it, and it'd be, it would eventually figure out that it wasn't the start of a packet, because I think the packet length would be some absurd value probably. So, because I know what the packet length has to be. It has to be 641, I think.
Yeah, something's a little weird with that. I know that's, I think, the number that I came up with. But if you add all the bytes up that they say they're sending, it should be a little bit more. Yeah,
because there's 2 bytes for the header, and then header ID, and then there's 2 bytes for the length, and then there's a checksum at the end and end byte. So there's, 7 bytes, I think, that aren't included in that 641.
Oh, okay. So you think
that's that gets you to the 648?
Oh, I got 647. Yeah, I thought it was 2 bytes for the header, 2 bytes for packet length, 16 bytes of other data, the image frame, the check byte, and the footer, which is DD in hex.
Yeah, I might have been off by 1. It might be 7. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that was a little weird. It's like, okay, well, the number of bytes you say are supposed to be in the packet don't add up, It's like, so.
Yeah. Well, I think, you're supposed to read the header ID and then the 2 length bytes, and so those aren't included. and the checksum. So I think the 641 is the bytes you're doing the checksum on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably right. But yeah.
Hey, Ted,
Yeah.
how are you handling the buffer overflow on the Arduino? Because you only get a 64-byte buffer.
I'm just reading those 640 bytes as fast as I can, and that's why I had to slow the baud rate down to 57,600, because if it was faster than that, it couldn't read them as fast as they were coming in the buffer.
Okay. It's always been looking at that as a limitation on the Arduino, is that the buffer is small.
Yeah. Yeah, so something like that, you just have to read it as fast as you can. And then once you get the entire packet processed in, then you can do your processing on it afterwards.
Okay. I've never looked into the Arduino. Is it a limitation of the Arduino? Is there a limitation of the Atmega?
You can increase the buffer size.
Yeah, well, I am running the software serial on this, so you have the software library limitations there.
Yeah, but on the hard serial ports, you can change the buffer size. It's I want to say it's in wiring, but if you just Google changing Arduino buffer size, there is a way. I want to say this default is 64, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I had some projects where I had it set up to 256 or 255. I can't remember what it is. Yeah. And so it is doable. The problem is you change the library, and so it becomes non-standard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you have to copy that library and basically create your own version of it.
Right.
To get it to work. But okay. Yeah. So, but it is it's a settings in the on one of the registers in the CPU.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I mean, it is. I mean, I've done it. I've used bigger buffers.
The other problem is you have limited memory on an Uno.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you have to be. Oh, what is it? Yeah,
that's why I'm looking.
That's why I think 255 is the. You can even go bigger than that, but I think that's why 255. I chose 255 or whatever.
I've been eyeing up that new Uno R4 for just that reason, to try to increase communication speed and hardware buffer and everything else if possible.
Have you played with it yet?
No, I'm waiting for it to be available, because I just received a portable monitor that I ordered on June 13th on Amazon, two-day delivery. And where I am, 2-day delivery is 15 days.
So apparently it's about a week per day.
Yeah, so it very interesting though. It didn't ship until the 23rd from Amazon.
Huh.
So I'm trying to figure out what's up with that they hold on to it, and then only released it on the 23rd, and I got it essentially yesterday. So I'm a little leery about ordering parts, because who knows when they're going to show up.
Yeah, it's a little like ordering from China.
Yeah.
But China's the opposite. They say they ship it the next day, but then like a month later you see it go through customs.
No. I had something in China. They give me a fake shipping number, a fake tracking number going to Canada. So it did go to Canada, did clear customs, and it did reach its final destination somewhere in Quebec. And by the time all that rolls around, now you're into, okay, well, let's argue this out with the seller.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Ted, did you see the on the website for the product, they had a basically sample code to run with like the Max Dock stuff, this thing.
Yeah, I did not order a Max dock. I just ordered
Oh,
the
yeah.
one thing, so I don't have that.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I took that code and modified it for, it's in Python. So I modified it for the OpenMVH7. And there's a lot of neat things in it that, I didn't know Python had. So it was kind of a learning experience, but it seems like it's a lot slower. Like as far as keeping up with even the, like 1 frame per second, it had a hard time doing that. So, but I could display the image on the LCD screen of the OpenMVH7. So, but I actually was kind of curious how fast you could do it in C or C++. It's probably a lot faster.
Yeah, probably. I was just sending results over serial and displaying them on a serial terminal.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I made a little ASCII art type thing to actually show the 25 by 25 image, and you could kind of see the shape, so it seemed to be working.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
And one other interesting thing I found out about it is the units is kind of useful because if you want to see out to the full range, you just set the units to 10, and then it's I think the way it's working is it always puts it in a byte, the result, but
Yeah.
if you have the 10 as your result, then it goes from 0 to 200 2.5 meters basically.
2.5 meters, yeah.
Whereas if you have it out to 25 centimeters.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I thought that might, like if you do, 25, so that'd be 250, 2.5 meters, right? If it's in centimeters. So 250 should be your max value, so you shouldn't get an FF. You can go up to 250 maybe, but not 255.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe that's the way they get around, the issue with confusing the header with, the data or something.
I don't think they're quite doing that. I think it's 255 times 10. Does that make sense?
Oh, really? Why would you think
times
that?
10 millimeters.
Yeah, I thought it was a centimeter. So if your max range was 2.5 meters, that's 250 centimeters.
Yeah, well,
right?
I think it actually goes to 255 centimeters.
Oh, you think it does? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried it outside yet?
No.
Okay. I tried it outside, and it would, if you had it on a bright surface, it would work. But then if it went from shaded to bright, it seemed to have some sort of calibration that would get off, and then you wouldn't get anything at all for a while.
Oh, really?
So it sort of worked outside, but not quite.
Oh.
And then one of the AT commands is for saving your settings, but I was never able to get that to work.
Yeah.
Every time I restarted.
Did you set it up with the COM tool and then, just, have it interface to the Arduino, or were you sending all the AT commands to set up everything, or?
I started out using the COM tool, and then I switched over to just sending AT commands through the serial port.
Yeah, I think I tried save, and I don't think it saved anything. I think you're right. Something's not right there. But yeah, I think that's about all I have in my report. So I think you're next, Ray. Okay. Anyway, I was in the heat of the day, having to go out and mow. The grass is getting taller and taller. So I wanted a remote. I already had this. This has got an ESP32 with a LoRa transceiver on it. And so I put 2 joysticks on it. I used to have just one, And it was this huge clunker. This thing, it's about the same size as this box. And I was just trying to see if it was like if you had independent control of, each wheel just up and down. So that's, speed forward and speed in reverse. If it would be easier to control it versus a single joystick where you're basically trying to point the robot in the direction by moving the joystick to, I guess, the direction that you want it to go. There's some weird things that was, kind of getting into David Anderson territory where you could have, one axis of the joystick be, forward or backward velocity, and then the amount of rotation. And it gets too squirrely. It's kind of like if you push the joystick too far, does things I didn't expect. And, I thought, okay, if I push it just a little bit in the positive direction and then all the way over, I wanted it to basically rotate on one wheel versus rotating on two wheels. And then, the opposite, pushing it the other way. And, it just gets, weird. It does things that I didn't expect it to do. So
I think you just got to get used to it. I grew up with tank drive, preferring tank drive for differential steer robots. But all of the kids that I work with, it's all arcade drive. So that's what they referred to it as when it's speed on one of the joysticks and steering on the other.
Yeah.
And they're just automatically mixed so that if you're not doing any speed and you're doing a hard oversteering, then it automatically becomes an in-place turn.
Yeah.
But that's two joysticks, right? Not one?
That's two joysticks, but you can also do it on a single joystick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some of them just prefer to configure it on a single joystick, and some prefer to split them. The problem with doing it on a single joystick is that you tend to deflect. Basically, you can you might inadvertently mix when you're not wanting to. Like it's hard to go purely left or right if you only want to rotate and you don't want to move forward at all.
Yeah.
But if you do it two joysticks, you can sort of ignore the opposing axis on the other one, and you get a little bit more fine-grained control.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to try it. I thought, okay, I don't want to ram the thing into a tree or something, or the house or whatever. So I thought, I wanted to try that. I'd never done that before, so it's kind of a learning experience. Oh, and I saw this. Let me go into presentation mode. Entire screen. Share. Bloop. Okay, I saw these on AliExpress, and this is, it's got a filter switch in it, and it has a zoom and a focus motor. And I guess it's good for like 5 to 50. The 50 is a pretty good telephoto. The 5 isn't, I don't think you can call 5 wide angle. I think it's definitely a telephoto type lens setup. But were you looking for something like that, Kareem?
I'm trying to figure out what particular camera you would put this on.
Oh,
But yeah, it looks like an externally controllable focus.
Zoom and focus, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an incredible price. Does that includes the lens?
Yes.
So I guess
that's
it's on
everything.
the quality of the lens and the size. It's got a camera built into it or not? I can't tell.
No, you'd screw this on top of I know like the OpenM VH7, has this type arrangement in here. I don't know if it's an M14, but it looks like it.
So this is pretty tiny.
Pretty small, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they show dimensions here. Actually, I thought they did on one of these. Yep. Okay, view more. Maybe not.
But yeah, it's kind of cool, but I expect the quality isn't that great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I don't know that you could even judge what the quality of the lenses were. It'd probably be pretty hard to do. Anyway, they had other ones that didn't have this 5 to 50 millimeter range. It was shorter. But same sort of setup, filter switch in the back and zoom and focus. I don't know if I can find the other one. Favorites. This was, yeah, there's the other one.
Without the car.
Oh, yeah, that's one of those standard little can motors. Get a sense of scale from that, I think.
Yeah. And I think the 2, 5, and 8, that's the 8 megapixel lens price. It's just got to do with, I think the aperture or the spot that actually shines on the lens. An 8 megapixel sensor is going to be a lot bigger than a 2 megapixel sensor. But 2.7 to 13 isn't bad. I think it's a little, maybe more, shorter range zoom for sure. But 2.7, I'd have to look that up. I don't know if that gets into the wide angle end. You may have to get down like to 1.8 or something to actually be wide angle. But there's another one for $17.59. And it's got the same mount and the same filter switch on the, if I can find that view. Yeah, right there. So those seem pretty reasonable. I don't know if you're still interested in those or not.
I don't know. I might take a look. Go ahead and paste that link into the chat, please.
Okay. Yeah. That was it for me. I saw the new Uno, but kind of already talked about that. But.
So what's the new Uno have that the old one didn't?
There's a Wi-Fi version that has an ESP32 on it that you can use for, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and.
Looks like you had a
now.
pixel matrix on it.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's like 2 versions of it. One with and one without Wi-Fi.
It runs at 48 megahertz. It's got 32K of RAM and 256 flash, I think. And it's the pins are all 5 volt in and out.
Oh,
they are.
Which is something competition doesn't basically supply, which is handy if you have a 5 volt project that you want to migrate over and get a little more memory. It's might be a good use for it.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, how many serial ports?
It had, I believe, 1 of each. Let me double check. I don't want to lie to you guys.
Is that the new Arduino R4 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm on this site now. Technical specs. Come on, give me a spec. So it's got 4 UARTs total. So it's got I2C times 1, SPI times 1, CAN bus times 1, and I guess Yort times 4. So it's got 4 serial ports,
Okay.
one I2C port, one SPI port, and 1 CAN bus, which I believe is new because I don't think the Arduino Uno has CAN bus.
No, you can add it, but by using SPI, but generally speaking, it doesn't have it.
256 kilobytes flash, 32 kilobytes of RAM. Current per pin is 8 milliamps. It's got a wider input voltage, so it accepts 6 to 24 volts.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a switching regulator versus a linear regulator on it. I don't see any of the, it's got like a coil and.
I'm
like
guessing reasonably priced at $20 US. I'm sure that's going to drop with alternate manufacturers as well.
I kind of wondered why they chose the Uno. I mean, yeah, okay, that's what they started out with, but it's kind of pin limited still. You don't have a lot of pins on the thing.
Yeah, but usually people don't build robots. They build a fixed type of appliance. With one function, not trying to read 20 different sensors and control a set of motors.
I wonder what's next.
Well, they should.
Say that again.
They should.
I just said, they should.
Yeah,
That's what serial buses are for.
There was a couple of nice boards in the Uno format, except they had a double row of header pins at the back end to expand on the I/O pins. But it was just like to say it was maybe 3/8 of an inch longer than the regular Uno. And you can't find them anymore. But it was the mega chip on a Uno size board, basically. So
I think I remember seeing them. They had like double rows,
double rows of pins.
Yeah.
And I was looking for that because of the smaller size.
Did you look on Banggood?
No. So lately I've been trying to avoid the Asian market.
Oh.
Just because of non-shipment of.
Oh.
You got enough issues with the U.S. shipments.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm having U.S. problems with Amazon out of Canada, essentially.
Oh, man.
That's just because I'm close to beyond Canada.
Most of Canada is close to beyond Canada. It's a big country.
Well, you know that on day 4 of driving, driving 9 hours a day for 4 days to get here.
Cool. Well, I think we have next in queue, we have Doug with the discussion point. I have a quick amusing finding on Bard, Google Bard versus ChatGPT. And then it looks from the chat like Mickey has some things to talk about with respect to RC mowers. So, Doug, are you there?
Yes. Wait a minute.
Your voice
Did you hear me?
is
Yeah, okay. Give me a second.
okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm here. I just wanted to, I'm going to share here a couple of, this is a few findings I just happened upon that I thought might be interesting to the group. Okay, now if I do this right. All right. Are you seeing this thing that says amazing things with amazing software?
Yep.
Okay.
SolidWorks.
Yeah, SolidWorks. I wasn't aware that they had this offering. It's called 3D Experience SolidWorks for Makers. And it's web-based. It's actually cheaper than Design Spark Mechanical. And I believe that it has access. I'm still searching this out. I believe it has access to their toolkit options like cam and thermal and all of the other stuff, where you can actually, and so I understand that SolidWorks learning curve is pretty steep, but this might be something that would be interested to everybody if you haven't run across this. So anyway, I thought I'd give it a shot, or at least look at it some more, because I'm in the market for buying some CAM software, and I found a package that looks like it will do the job for about $250, but you own it then. You don't have to pay anything else on it. So I'm thinking, I think it's called Mod Mesh, and that's the one I'm looking at. But if this one had it and I could pay only $9.99 a month, that might tempt me away from it, since I wouldn't have the upfront cost. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, I saw this. It just came out from Adafruit in their new products. And this might be the solution to module hell, where, you got a bunch of little modules that all do one thing, but you want to put them all together, especially if, like in the case they're showing where they're I²C. It's a grid. Let me get to their picture with anything on it. Looks like this.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you notice this price. Well, dang it, it's out of stock now. It wasn't out of stock earlier today.
I can see why.
Yeah, it was $5. And like I say, especially if you've got a lot of little modules like this that you're running around, this might be a really nice, inexpensive solution, pre-made solution, and you just stick your modules on there as a chassis. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting new product.
Yeah, it seems like something you could 3D print also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
Well, you probably could. Or if you had a CNC, you could probably mill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good idea for this kind of stuff, for sure.
Yeah. If I were doing this for 3D print, I probably would put some reinforcements on the grid lines, probably. Otherwise, the lines that don't have anything on them, on the back side, I might put a little bit of strengthening.
I guess that's made where you snap it in pieces, I guess, huh?
No. This is meant to be like this. You're supposed to just plug in your different modules on it. And
do those modules screw into like standoffs? Is that?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They got, if you look over here, you can see the standoff and then the nut. So the screw's going up from the bottom. He's got a standoff, then he's got a nut on the top. And I don't know, I believe, I haven't really looked into details, but I want to say that Adafruit, I believe, uses either 2 or 2.5 millimeter holes in their boards. So it could be 2 millimeter, but so you have to figure these slots might be, you might have to make a small investment in 2 millimeters.
Yeah, it says 0.1 inch spacing.
Huh?
The description says 0.1 inch.
Yeah, I believe that, but I don't. What I'm not so sure is, you see how they're attaching the module to it.
Yeah.
That's gonna, that's probably okay. They're probably an inch. Figure that. And so this board is probably 3 inches by 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
And this one's probably 1.75 inches. But it looks like their own boards will either use the slots or these holes.
Yeah, she said that in the video that not all of the boards that they make have the same spacing. Like
Yeah.
some of the feathers are wider than some of the other sensor boards, and so that's why I think they made it with like kind of like 90-degree opposing slits, so you can adjust for.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes so. That's fine. That's how I would probably tackle it too if I were trying to do this.
Yeah.
I just, in my own robots, what I usually have is a base that I make lots of little holes in and attach them all strung out over the robot. This, you could even use this as a deck.
Yep.
So anyway, I thought that was a very interesting, and it's aluminum.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, so that's kind of a cool thing. And then I saw this. This is from Rev Robotics. They have a series of training exercises, I guess, or training pages. Anyway, and I saw this, and I said, well, people might, if they're not aware that this resource is available, that it might be something. I'll slide down this first page. Okay.
Is that like the Larson, strip for the mechanically declined? They show this massive screwdriver going into the head of a screw.
Yeah. But let's see. So they talk about some different systems. Somewhere they talk about. Oh, this one was kind of interesting. And they also talk about the nomenclature for sprockets and how they work things. They have inside outside links. Anyway, I'm just saying is this, if you're not used to it and weren't aware of this may be useful to take a peek at. So
do they talk about Southern Engineering in any of that, or
Southern Engineering? I mean, shade engineering.
No, it's like cobbing stuff together and not doing things correctly, or
okay. Well, yeah.
not aligning your gears.
Is there a section on duct tape?
I don't know about duct tape.
I have mailing wire.
I was looking for the welder section, where everything just gets welded together.
That's right.
You need a little thing just welded on there.
If all you have is a welder, everything looks like something you can weld,
Right, exactly. Anyway, so they do have, and it looks like, anyway, I just thought I'd share those three things.
I will say that I have a strong bias against plastic gears and things like that.
Yeah.
Their plastic sprockets are very strong. They're surprisingly quiet and reliable. Their system is based on number 25 chain.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of their 5.5 millimeter, their 5 millimeter hex axles. They're actually just fine for most club scale robots, but the things that we do tend to be
too small
in the 30 to 40 pound range, and we usually want to upgrade those a bit.
Got to go to the Go Build to 8 millimeter, right?
Yeah, we use some of even the 12.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. For some parts.
Imperial, half-inch.
That's what they use on the FRC robot mostly. Yeah.
I'm looking for my new outdoor bot that I won't have ready this year, but maybe next year.
Are the inches the same size in Canada?
Yes, inches are, but gallons aren't.
Whoa, that's right.
Strange enough. A Canadian quart is 32 ounces. And I believe an American quart is 28 ounces.
No, I thought it was 32.
No, it's 32.
Is it?
There's ounces might be different.
Yeah, there's a difference in the amount of ounces in a quart. That's what makes up the difference in gallons. So a U.S. gallon is 3.78 liters, and a Canadian gallon is 4.54 liters.
Huh.
In the morning, does your scale tell you how many stones you weigh?
I've been avoiding it.
That's probably the best idea. Although if you use small stones, maybe it's not a problem.
Usually when I get on, it says one at a time, please.
I measure my height in hands.
That's better. That's good.
Yeah. So what is a stone in pounds? Is it like, it's a pretty high number of pounds, isn't it?
It's a big stone.
I want to say a stone
it's
is
a big
14
stone.
pounds. Isn't it 14 pounds?
15
I
or
don't
14. Wow.
I'd have to look it up.
Now that I brought that up, I'm going to have to. Oh, yeah. One stone is 14 pounds.
Yeah.
Man.
Right on.
That's a big stone.
So, Doug, you were talking about CAD software?
CAM.
CAM software. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And you
Yeah.
don't find Fusion usable for that?
360, no, the CAM software in 360 is fine. It's my problem is I have a very, very hard time designing a 360 because the model they use just my mind doesn't wrap around the way they do things. I'm more of a design spark mechanical mindset. And otherwise I find that extremely simple. I mean, almost anything I can do in it pretty quick. It's not as flexible as 360, but it's able to carry 95% of my stuff. And I have imported, Design Spark mechanical step files into 360 and pushed it a little bit farther. And maybe I ought to do that, but I'm not sure. Is CAM on the free version of 360? I thought they took that.
It used to be. I don't know if it is anymore. I'm using the educational version of it. So
yeah, the educational version, you got it. And there's really not a whole lot of good programs out there that do.
FreeCAD has a CAM a workbench.
Does it?
Throwing it out there, yeah. If you're interested in looking into it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Tinkercad would have it if 360 doesn't have it.
Tinkercad would not have CAM. No.
Yeah. What is it now?
FreeCAD.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And you know what else is good about it? It's free. Oh.
Yeah, I hear you. But that's another one of those programs that I've actually tried to use it, and
I'm actually getting where I use it all. It's all I use anymore.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying, anybody out there interested, it's got a path. It's got a CAM workbench to it.
Right. Yeah, I know. Maybe one of these days you can give us a lecture on how to do that, because when I was working with it, I found it very, very hard to get started.
It's got a learning curve to it, but unlike Design Spark was really good, but the drawback with I love Design Spark, but I run Linux all the time, so they don't make a version for Linux, so I just nope. Yeah. And so I just moved on, and anything I make in FreeCAD is mine anyway. I don't have it's mine.
Yeah.
So I don't have to sign up every year or nothing like that. I'm just
I'm all for that.
It does work. I'm gonna give a thumbs up for it once you learn the learning curve on it. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
And I really like Design Spark. It doesn't have a CAM option on it on Design Spark.
It's actually what it is. It's a very stripped down version of Space Claim. And Space Claim is, it's a competitor from Europe for SolidWorks and those type of things. But, like SolidWorks is very, 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 very expensive. So that's just one of the things they don't put in it. So, like I said, I'd like to look at this SolidWorks and see if they do have CAM in it. I'll look again at FreeCAD for sure. But like I say, last time I played with it, I didn't trust the toolpaths that it had, but we'll see. And Fusion 360, when it first came out, I did use it, and it worked pretty nice. But my understanding was they took it out, so I'll have to check that again. I have to check that again because
I do know that when I was messing with OnShape, it has an add-on, a path add-on, a cam add-on to that. If anybody's interested in that.
Yeah, so if I buy one, it probably will be mesh cam. Right now I'm still looking at it just to see, but.
And it's a CAD cam program, mesh cam?
Yeah, basically it's just a cam program.
Oh.
So you put in your file and, and the basic one, I think it's $250. So yeah, it's painful, but it's not $700. It's not 14,000,
Right. A year.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I would think about, but I have to look at FreeCAD in the sense that I know where it was 10 years ago, and it's come a long way.
It's come a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't have a learning curve to it, but it's come a long way.
Yeah.
I'm real happy with it. So.
Mm-hmm. Have you actually used the cam function? I know it's got.
No, I haven't. I haven't because I know it, but I know all these parts. The robot arm you see behind you. I've done all that in that mess back there in FreeCAD. I have not used the path option on it, no. Mm-hmm. But I haven't heard any complaints about it, what I'm trying to say. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give it a look. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
That's it for me, Carl.
Okay. Well, I have a quick thing. It's not exactly robot, but it's Google or ChatGPT related. And then after that, it's open mic or whoever wants to get in queue. So what I have to share is basically it's an automotive thing, and I started off with Google Bard because I figured, there's more and more of these things in the mix, so let's try. And I asked it, if you want to turn the engine over by hand with a socket wrench for this model of car, when facing the front of the engine, should you turn it clockwise or counterclockwise? And the first thing I noticed about Google Bard, I learned the hard way, is it doesn't save your chats. You'd better copy them off. It's unlike ChatGPT. So it said, okay, fine. It came out strong. When facing the front of an engine in this car, you should turn it clockwise. This is because the direction of rotation is clockwise when viewed from the front of the engine. Turning it in the opposite will not start the engine. And then it said, here's a Python code you can use to determine the direction to turn the engine. If you're facing the engine, turn clockwise, otherwise turn counterclockwise. Okay, I'm thinking this is a little self-referential here. So I said, it said, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. And I said, are you sure that engine turns in this direction? It said, oh, I can't help you. I'm just a language model. Okay, so credibility out the window. We're going to blow that off, but that just tells you something.
Not there yet.
Well, you got to verify ChatGPT too.
Well, I know you got to verify, but
yeah,
this is exactly the same prompt and then follow-up question. So
yeah, but Carl, I would, before you get into that, because I know you're going to say it.
This is it.
Yeah, I know you got the answer, but I want to ask the thing that those binary type questions like that, I don't know if I would do the chat bots, but go ahead. So okay. What was the Python code from the other one?
Well, I mean, I didn't ask for Python code. I mean, why did it give me Python code? Why did it think I'm talking about a car? Why on this God's green earth does it think I had any interest in Python? especially Python that told me if I should look over my shoulder to turn the socket wrench or not. I mean, what is this? What is this thing? What is it?
Well, we all like to talk about what we can do.
Oh my goodness. So
AIs think in Python, apparently.
apparently it's big on Python. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, that just blew my mind. I just had to laugh. So I went back to good old GPT-4 and I asked the same question. It said, well, turning the engine by hand involves that. And you should always align with the standard rotation. Yeah. Most automobile engines, including that one, rotate clockwise when viewed from the front, where the belts and pulleys are. Therefore, you should turn clockwise. Never force the turn because that could cause damage. So this is sounding pretty credible. So I said, same as the other one, are you sure it turns in this direction? It said, well, it uses a M121 engine, which like most engines designed in that era, follows the conventional clockwise when viewed to the front. So, and then it said, however, here's my cop out. It might not apply to certain situations, so you should always consult with something. But what a difference, right? I mean, night and day.
I always thought that was a little weird that at the back of the engine it rotates counterclockwise. For some reason, I thought, no, that's wrong. It should rotate clockwise. But and I
really
think
like
a lot of cars do that.
I like the fact that it verified the meaning of front of the engine.
Yeah,
being the same as the front of the car by giving you the reference to where the belts are.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As opposed to like, well, what I just said in English language, here it is in Python. I mean, what? Come on. Why don't you just feed me the answer in binary if you like it so much? So
there you go. Had you asked for other Python code examples before? Because you got to log on, right?
Never.
Oh,
never. This was the first, and it's like ChatGPT. I mean, every session is a brand new day. Well, I don't know. This is Google. It probably attempts to remember everything I've ever asked it, but I've never asked Google Bard about. Anyhow,
Python code.
No. On the other side, I have heard that Google Bard has kind of a switch in there, and if it detects, Doug, to your point, if it detects a kind of a formulaic question, it actually will, instead of trying to handle it with the language model, it'll actually hand it over to a computational engine that can do math accurately. So there is that difference allegedly with Google Bard, but.
So when you say facing the engine, I'm saying your face is pointed. So you're standing in front of the car, looking towards the back of the car, right?
Correct. And the in front of me is the radiator where the radiator would be, then the fan, then the fan belt, then the engine.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that they're talking. Otherwise, you sure they're not just talking when facing the front of the engine? Okay, I guess that's pretty clear. I just want to make sure that, yeah. I know with robots, I always reference all my robots from the back of the robot.
Yeah, because I mean we like to stand, and with RC cars too, right? We like to stand and drive them away. Why would we drive them to us?
Okay.
Left-hand engine and right-hand engine. Or motor.
Yeah. So anyhow,
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I think here's another weird one. I think on like high-end cars like Bentleys, the lug nuts on one side of the car are left-hand thread, and on the other side they're right-hand thread. So I have no idea.
And there were some older cars that way too. I saw some YouTube video where the detailers were all proud of how good they got this car looking. And along the way, they had to take the brake drums off, so they just got the impact wrench, and so they tore off not one but like four of the bolts.
Oh, yeah.
Well, my 66 Dodge Dart, the wheels were right-handed, left-handed threads on the right hand and left-hand side.
Apparently, if it's a left-hand thread and it's rotating in one direction, it's more likely not to vibrate out or come loose.
Yeah, it actually tightened the vibrations.
Yeah,
that was the concept. And as I remember, the ones that were left-hand actually had an L on the stud, so you knew that.
If you looked closely enough, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and obviously grinders are, bench grinders are that way too.
Bench grinders.
Because you don't want the wheel to fly off.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one wheel. Usually, I believe it's the left wheel has a left-hand thread. I believe. I know one of them does, but which you quickly find because when you're trying to take it off, it doesn't come off.
You end up stripping it out with the impact wrench.
Yeah.
Cheap Chinese junk.
Okay, that's what I had. So it's open mic night. Who else has something to bring up and chat through?
Anybody?
I have something not really robot related. So my son plays clarinet, and his ligature, which is the piece of metal that holds the reed to the clarinet, was a little bit tarnished. So he cleaned that up, and some of it's old. Some of the chrome came off, so he wanted to electroplate it. So usually chemistry stuff goes poorly for me, but we tried it. We got some nickel, pure nickel rods, and put them in vinegar and put electricity through it, and it actually worked. And
It actually
came out
plated
with
it.
this nice nickel plating. So if you have some robot part that you want shiny, that's a good way to do it.
What did you nickel plate?
Part of a clarinet, the ligature, which
What was it made out of?
so I think it was made out of brass or something, and it was already
cool.
It was chrome plated, but we cleaned it up and just taking the tarnish and stuff off. Some of that came off, so it was looking kind of ugly. So we cleaned it up and nickel plated it.
Huh.
There's lots of instructions online, and it's fairly easy to do and quick.
His lips don't touch that part, though, right? I hope.
What's that?
His lips don't touch the plated part, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I worked on a chrome plant, and it was for chroming mandrels for a mandrel mill, and it was I rebuilt the rectifier in it, but it was 9 volts at 5,000 amps. So
Yeah.
we had two halves, so each half could put out 2,500 amps.
Yeah, we were running about an amp through it.
So, hey, Ted,
Yeah.
did you strip off the old chrome and get it down to the copper, or what did you do?
No, well,
Because usually they put copper down, I believe, and then chrome. Isn't that usually how they do chrome?
yeah, we didn't do chrome, we did nickel, but so we, cleaned it up with a wire brush and some sandpaper, and some of the chrome came off, and that's kind of why we were replating it.
Yeah, but did the nickel go over the chrome?
Yes,
Okay.
it
Cool.
seemed to stick well to the chrome.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering if that caused any issues. Another process, if you want to just treat metal parts, that's real easy to do is if you want to, it's not part, you can go all the way to parkerizing them, or you can use a phosphoric acid film on metal parts, which turns them gray. Okay, and that's real easy because all you have to do is get some concrete cleaner, and which has phosphoric acid in it. Make sure you're wearing gloves, and just rub it over it, and it'll turn a dark gray. But if you want true parkerization, you have to add one more chemical to it. You can use concrete cleaner, but there's another chemical that you have to add to it that makes it turn that dark, super dark blue-black.
Yeah.
And
Is that on steel?
yeah, on steel. Steel.
Yeah,
Mainly
this
steel.
was brass.
Yeah, it wouldn't work on brass.
Yeah.
It'd probably do something weird. No, nickel's cool.
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I think to do chrome plating, they nickel plate it first. For some reason, I think the
Right. I
chrome
think what I heard is I think they do nickel, then copper, then chrome, or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
So now, how many nickel things are appearing in your house?
Oh, well, I have a couple nickel plated pennies now. And
So did you figure that out, YouTube or just Googling around or?
yeah, just YouTube and Googling around.
All right.
It's really easy. All you need is a power supply, let's see, white vinegar and some salt. And then the hardest thing was the pure nickel rods that we ordered off of Amazon.
And then they gave you the right proportions and timing and current and stuff.
Yeah, I think I put in a little too much salt to begin with, because it was creating a bunch of foam. So then I watered it down with more vinegar, and that fixed that problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Pat.
I'm just taking off. I have family that just dropped by, so.
Oh,
Okay.
hi.
We'll see
Have a
you
good night,
guys.
guys.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say if you need a small portion of nickel, you can always strip the little bars between an old battery pack. That's good. Those are, I don't know. I don't think they're pure nickel, but I think they are nickel coated. So you can get a little bit of nickel there.
Yeah, you want it as pure as possible because otherwise you get stuff like copper mixed in, and
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope there's no lead in that too. You didn't want that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The nickel strip side-by for battery packs are advertised as pure,
Okay.
highly pure. Yeah.
It removed a surprising amount of nickel off the bar that I used. It started out as a 1/4-inch bar, and it was obviously a lot smaller when we were done with it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the acid or dissolved some of it in the acid and not all of it got plated onto the piece you're trying to plate, maybe.
Yeah, well, the vinegar turns a bright green after running power through it for about an hour.
Whoa.
Ooh.
And
Do
then you
not
just
use
wash
that on a salad.
But is
No.
it tasty?
Would not recommend it.
to the drain it goes without telling the
Yeah, EPA.
homeowners association or the water district.
Well, I right now I'm saving it for future projects.
Okay.
Yeah, Ed asked how much voltage did you use?
Oh, so I think, well, when you start it, you start it up by just running current from one nickel rod to the other without anything in it. And you do that at 12 volts and a couple amps. And you do that for an hour or so until it turns bright green. And then you drop the voltage down. And I was using a power supply, so I was actually controlling the current. So I dropped the current down to like 1/2 amp because you don't want to be trying to push it on too quickly is what I learned. And so I think it was about 1/2 amp at 3 volts to do the actual plating.
Okay, so now is that green solution that you have good for the next time?
Yes, because what happens is you have a nickel anode, and you have to make sure your nickel rod is on the positive side, because it's going to take the nickel ions off that anode, and then they go into the solution, and the nickel ions in the solution go to the cathode.
Which is where you're plating.
Yeah, which is what you're plating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing if you reverse it, you brass plate the nickel rod with your.
Yeah, exactly. It goes the wrong way.
Yeah.
Cool. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's with our makery theme, plating robots, steampunky. We could get there.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah. You got so many fun science experiments going on at your end. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if you just wanted to get rid of the vinegar, it would probably, and whatever water was in there, just evaporate, and you might be left with like a salt in the bottom of it that you could
Yeah,
add more vinegar
probably.
to.
And it would probably be toxic or carcinogenic or something.
Mm. Very well could be. Well, I guess for NiCad batteries, it's more the cadmium that's dangerous. Yeah. But God knows what nickel does to you.
Yeah.
Probably in California, it's got that warning will cause cancer in animals. And
well, there are people that are allergic to it because there was a phone that they made when I was at Nokia that had really nice nickel plated accents on it, and they got pretty far into production before they realized that actually some people are allergic. So, I mean, a phone with a nice nickel plating is a bad idea because.
Bummer.
Yeah. The things you learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Remember back in the I guess the Roman times and all that stuff that they would the rich people would seal their wine with lead.
Sure.
Lead corks or whatever you want to do, and they were all dying of lead poisoning. The rich people were.
I had no clue why.
Nope.
There's a similar thing like that where, they had white teeth for a long time and then the teeth fell out. Well, that's because they bleached them and the bleach ate away the enamel.
Oh, wait.
So don't bleach your teeth. That's the wrong way to get white teeth.
Uh-huh.
I coat mine with coffee and tea. So mine's thick.
You got that extra special coating. I didn't realize another thing, that teeth are actually porous. So that's how the tea and the coffee stains, is it gets drawn into the pores. It's really weird. All right, as we get into the physical world here, what other topics do we have for the evening?
That's kind of it.
There's been a healthy discussion with Mickey on the side, so we encourage whatever we can do to help you. Just let us know, because it looks like a good challenge you've got, and there's a lot of experience here.
I think he was asking earlier whether or not he might get a black star for remote controlling his mower without an actual microcontroller on it. So
I missed that.
That's a Doug question, probably.
Well, if he has a video and willing to show it to us, sure, we get a black star.
It's progress, right?
Yeah, it's progress.
We've given out black stars for that before.
Yeah. So if you just have a picture of it or something like that and share it, we'd love to see it.
If there's no pictures, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
you'll get a gold star if you actually do it, autonomously with
Yeah.
Well, I think even if he just shows us the mower, I think would be worth the black star for first time.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
What happens if you program it with an analog computer? So I'm thinking, like, if I take the steering joystick and I dangle a weight on it with a pulley, and then like a friction thing, so it slowly draws it to the right. I mean, I programmed it with an analog computer. That's autonomous.
Works.
Carl,
you got to use op amps.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of the early back and forth was one by who's the guy that just died earlier this year? Will Canuck. He actually made one of his wooden robots in there that had a spring in it, and it was basically a toy, and it went straight out and straight back. And he won the contest that year. So,
Analog computer, baby.
yeah,
Or a 555, right?
yeah, no.
I remember one fellow had a line following where he had a photo cell and that drove one of the motors. And
I have on protoboard a
Yeah, that should work.
Sorry. Not
I
that.
heard something.
Yeah, that was me. I accidentally played a video.
Oh.
Cool. Well, I'm afraid I don't have anything else to share, guys.
Okay, this is what?
Well, while we're on chemistry, anybody know how to get char off of a grill grating?
Yeah, you take,
Barbecue grill. It's just carbonized, right?
yeah.
Like all of the
Right.
food's gone from with easy off or something like that, and
Grinder.
but they're just What?
Okay, now one of the things
Grinder.
that I've been successful with on that cream is put it in a sink or a tub with a lot of baking soda and hot water to start with, and just leave it there for like overnight. And that does a reasonable job of loosening it up. And then, you have to use the old special grease from your elbow to finish it off. But other than that, I mean, that's how I clean some of the grills that I've, put charcoal all over them. And but they're doing it, that bath of baking soda really makes a big difference.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
I tried a steam cleaner once. It didn't work at all.
Yeah. But it takes a while. So like I say, at least overnight. And, for me, it turns out my sink, my kitchen sink is just the perfect size for my grills. And I can put them down in there because I have 4 grills instead of one big one. And I put them down in there and leave them there all overnight.
Yeah, I got a utility sink that I could do that in.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Takes a lot of soda, I mean, don't
Like
be
a pound.
Oh, that'd be plenty. That'd be way too much, probably. But I mean, just saying, don't go. It's not a sprinkle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nope, not finding it. Okay. Must not have it on here anymore.
Well, a little early tonight, but it is summertime, so we're taking it easy, I guess.
So before we go,
Oh, yeah, you had a question.
the question is, do we meet next week on the 4th? Isn't next week on the 4th?
It is.
Or do we skip it? I got to admit, I'd probably like to skip it myself, but how do you guys feel about it?
I'm skipping.
Yeah.
skipping.
Yeah.
I need to skip.
Yeah, I will put up a notice on the webpage that it's not the 4th, there won't be any meeting.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll back it up. The next one will be, I guess, on the 11th.
The 11th, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's do that then. And we'll see you guys.
Okay,
All right.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a good 4th.
Happy 4th, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now.
Clean your grills.